Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. I woke up and it was like 30 degrees this morning, so I'm getting around and trying to get the van all defrosted and warmed up so that I can go out and get a few things done today. Today is the day that Lady Bugout leaves and goes her separate ways. We had a few days of really wonderful times together, and I've just totally enjoyed this, and I can't wait until we catch up again. But for the time being, trying to get everything in order in the van, and well, it's kind of hard to get going in the morning. So I think what I'm gonna do is just keep going and see where this day takes me. Oh, I've got the defroster running, but I need to take these down so it can actually defog the windows. Last night I had a lot of condensation because it was raining and it was really cold. In fact, it's still 38 in the van. Yeah, super cold. Okay, next up I need to open the back door, make sure nothing's falling. The doors are a little stiff this morning because they're cold too. I just put everything in a very primitive driving mode because I'm going to be coming back out here later on and I will not be using couch mode. I'll go right into bed mode whenever it's time. But I did need to make it up so that I could have this space so I could put these things, but also so that I could stand up and get dressed because it was chilly. So I think I'm going to grab a cranberry juice, and somewhere in here, there it is. And then I'll start my day this way. Next up, I'm gonna spray some Febreze. This is Cozy Campfire. I love this one. It smells delightful. This just freshens up the space a little bit after my night. Keeps my linen smelling good. And then I'm gonna close up the back. I'll walk over to the front and close the other front door. I leave one door open always if I have my key in, just so that I don't lock myself out. So now I can start defrosting. Oh. And I definitely need to wake up just a little bit. I look so tired, even though I slept really super well. Sleeping in the cold is something that you kind of get used to over time. And it's not for everyone. A lot of people travel to miss sleeping in the cold and go to places that are warmer. And I do that as well, but every so often, it's okay to have a cold night as long as you're prepared. I slept with my wool blanket, a small blanket, my comforter, and an electric blanket last night. But I can do that because I have enough power. Speaking of which, let's go check on the power real quick. Back to the van we go. And let's see how it did. So I currently have these two power stations. This one is running my fridge. It's at 55%. That's not too bad. And this one, I ran my electric blanket all night, and it's still at 99%. This battery has really been knocking it out of the park, let me tell you. I have been really impressed by this All Powers one. Of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about with that All Power, I actually did an unboxing of it a while back and showed it to you on my channel before I took off on this journey and showed you kind of all the features. I've been using it now for 2 trips, and so far it's consistently doing very well. The performance on that one is awesome. Go check out that unboxing if you're interested in finding out more though. And for the time being, I'm gonna get inside for just a moment and arrange some things because I'm a little bit disorganized in the front because, well, it's been raining, and anytime it's raining, you just want things inside, and that doesn't always mean that they're in the best rhyme or reason. So I'm going to take this time to get myself together a little bit. It's gonna be a little louder in here because of the defroster, but wow. Life has just been kind of crazy for the past few days. We've been going non-stop with the exception of the day that we just hung out in the van. And I will say this, something weird happened while we were hanging out in the van. We got a knock. Now, why is that weird? Because I paid for this site, so there was no reason for us to have gotten the knock. But the guy was confused about our reservation, so that was a little wild. Oh man, sometimes the road, it's a little strange. I'm gonna go ahead and put my beanie back on, keep myself nice and cozy because, well, not having very much hair on days like today, it's a little harder to function out in the midst of it. Now, let's see what all I need to do in here. My towel is currently drying from my shower. I have my window covers just kind of shoved down in here. My water's in place. This is all kind of falling out into everything. So I need to make sure that my Kleenexes are inside the Kleenex box. And then I can put my little teeth picks back in here somehow, but I need them to be inside instead of on top so they don't go flying. This cord actually goes back to the back, so that can stay. Some of this is in a little bit of disarray, but I'm gonna have to pull it fully out, and it's too cold to do that right now. So I guess, all in all, the main things are my Norwex is up here. My hats are kind of crazy with some sunglasses. I'm going to end up wearing these today, so I'll just go ahead and grab them. And then I need to keep these tickets so I can use them again at camp, but I need to put them away so that they're not flopping. So I'll just set them in there for now. Okay, now, here we go. Okay, so all of this is on the inside. It's gonna take it a bit to go away. So I think what I'm gonna do is try to do my tried and true. Roll the window down. Will this work? I don't know. You can definitely tell it's cold outside though, because the motors are having a little bit of a harder time today. Same thing here. Okay, so far so good. Oh, definitely having a hard time because of the cold. As for the front window, I'm gonna give it a little bit more time. If it doesn't perk up a little bit, then I'll take my Norwex and just wipe it down really good. I just don't like to do that because sometimes it ultimately ends up leaving streaks that cause really difficult conditions for driving later on. So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt that I don't have to do that. But in the meantime, it's already starting to warm up in here, and when I touch my face, it is so cold from being outside, but inside it's actually feeling kind of decent now. I mean, we've already gone up from 38 to 49, and I know that that still sounds extremely cold, but 49 is comfortable in comparison. So how do I usually stay warm when it's cold like this, other than my sleeping conditions? Well, I have a few different methods. I layer for one. So for example, this is a nice fuzzy sweater with a nice fuzzy sweater on top of it that traps in your heat. But also this fuzzy sweater is longer, so it goes down all the way to my legs. And so that helps that upper leg region stay warmer, because sometimes that gets really cold. But not everyone carries their heat the same way. And so, for example, me, I get super, super cold in some regions, like my behind. My behind will get cold and it's like an iceberg, and there's no way I can warm it up. So I found that, like, basically taking care of it beforehand and keeping it warm versus letting it get cold is the best way to do that, because it's far easier just to keep myself warm in that region than it is for me to rewarm that region. In fact, it just takes so long that it's uncomfortable. Same thing with feet, hands, and heads. A lot of people lose their body heat through their head, and so if you don't have on a hat, you're more likely to get that cold bone chill that's harder to shake than if you would have just worn the hat in the first place and kept that heat in. The hat changes so many things in the cold, so always try to keep a beanie and some gloves and some good thick socks or some wool socks with you. That really does help. Now, everyone's not going to have the ability to have an electric blanket, and I understand that, but they do make car versions of electric blankets that can plug into your actual power stations, and they take far less power. That's the one that I have, and oh my gosh, it's so handy. Last night I just put it on my bed, and then I put a blanket on top of it to kind of insulate the heat from escaping, and I slept really comfortably despite it being 30 degrees. And I know that's hard to believe, but oh my goodness, it was nice. Now, something else that I do is I also have hand warmers, and I keep my hand warmers with me always. And if I'm wearing like an oversized hoodie or something, I'll just throw them in the pockets. That way I can put my hands in my pockets to warm them up whenever, even if I'm wearing gloves or if I have bare hands. And then sometimes I'll sleep with them, but make sure they do not touch your skin if you do, because that's really bad. They can burn you. But all of those things go into the bigger picture of camping in the super cold temperatures. Now, you can also do heaters and things like that, but in some vans it just doesn't work out that a heater is responsible or safe. Never put yourself in a small van with a heater that is close to your blankets. I know that seems common sense, but whenever you're cold, a lot of times logic goes out the window. So make sure that there is enough of a distance that you can safely mitigate the space with your heater if you do choose to use one. Otherwise, there's diesel heaters and things like that. So there's lots of options for cold weather camping, and many of them you can use even if you don't have an insulated van. For example, my van is not insulated, and I still have a small plug-and-play heater, my electric blanket, all of the little things that I just talked about, and I stay pretty toasty. So it is possible to do it in a van. Now, I think that Dee went for a walk this morning, and she's not in her van, and I don't blame her. It's a beautiful morning this morning because for the first day in like a week, we don't have rain, and you can see the lake and all of the gorgeousness as it kind of floats through the trees, and you can see the sun just reaching out and making these beautiful, brilliant colors. I need to keep defrosting my van, otherwise I would probably go for a walk too. But this process is taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. So maybe after I defrost the van, I can do that. That would be really nice, don't you think? Well, while I'm waiting, I might as well go through some thoughts with you guys. So one of the things that I've noticed is I really do like having no seat in this section. However, one of the things that causes is chaos for me when it comes to putting things in the seat area. So I think I'm going to try to explore organizing it a bit differently. Now, it isn't going to always be looking like this. This kind of is this way because I have my scooter and I have my Reflectix and I have my ladder, and all of those things are currently sitting right here. But that makes it where I can't have like a little seat here that I can lounge in or work in or things like that. So I would like to eventually kind of pivot. And I know that I'll be able to do that a little bit better after I make some changes in the back. I've kind of discussed before whenever I was building up for this trip that one of the things I want to do is reinstall my shelf. I really like my shelf, guys. It's really wonderful, and I bought it specifically because it is for the van. But I have been trying to wait it out for the repairs before I put that in because I knew that it could be kind of problematic with how it sits. But now that I know that the repairs are going to take quite a while because of the parts and things like that, I feel more confident just putting it back in so I can have a better quality of life here in the van. So I think I'm going to be doing that once I return to base camp before I head out for winter travels. And I think that that'll be a good solution for fixing so many of the things that I kind of have going through in my head. And once I do that, I think that that will allow me to better organize this front section. It's just one of those things that when you're in a van, it's never truly complete, and whether you have a no build or a build, there's always going to be something that's like a thorn in your side that you're like, I need to do this. Ooh, we're getting closer to ready though. That is way better looking. I can already see out of it now, so it shouldn't be too much longer before I'm ready to roll out. Just look how beautiful this campsite is though. It's so nice out here. And with the exception of the knock, it has been super quiet. In fact, being on this little loop over here, again, there's not anybody staying over here, so we've been the only ones in this little stretch, and man, has it been amazing out here. Minus the cold, minus the rain. You know, I think that you can still take in the joy of places even when the weather is a little weird. But what's kind of crazy is I was sitting in my van the other night, and the service out here is not super great, so it's kind of spotty with AT&T, but it would pick up all of a sudden and give me like this little glimmer, and I would try to go check things and look at things and see how things are going and make sure I haven't missed anything that I needed to be updated on. And I got an update from Leadville, Colorado. You might recall I was just there on my last trip whenever I was in Colorado, and I headed out because I was afraid that the snow was going to hit. Well, the snow has officially fallen, and it only fell a few days after I left out. And so now I'm seeing all of these beautiful snowscapes, and while I do love them, it's really cold and uncomfortable for me to drive in the snow. So I'm glad that I left and I found this beautiful place that's so fall-like and amazing. It's amazing what you can do as long as you have 4 wheels and a little bit of time and gas. Okay, Dee's putting everything in her van and getting ready to go. It's gonna be sad.
I will see you soon.
Yes, I will see you soon, Dee.
Warm weather.
Yes, it's been super cold. Bye, Dee. Bye. Whew, so I've got to move the van first before she can go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get myself together. It's 70 degrees in the van now and I can see clearly. And wow, it's been quite the ride. I've really enjoyed having this opportunity to spend some time with my friend and just see the beautiful nature around us and just hang out and do some cool stuff. I encourage you guys to find people that you enjoy caravanning with, even if you can only caravan here and there, and meet up along the way and catch up on all your adventures. It's super fun, and it's been something that's really added a lot of joy to my life and also a lot of fun opportunities to see new things. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. And I'm about to be off to, well, whatever the day brings. Until next time guys, bye!